I'm Maduro es Inocente in Taiwan.
This is Piddly Soul in St. Petersburg.
And we're joined once again by our special guest, GJ Villa, somewhere in Trumplandia.
Hello, hello.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
So this is season 4, episode 10, part 2. We're calling this The Write-Off. We started with 64 authors, and we're doing that, what is it called? The NCAA bracket type tournament competition. So in part 1, which was recorded in ancient history, October 2025, we did the first 8 matchups after a lengthy introduction of all 64 authors. I think, well, we each chose 21. GJ Villa picked the first 21, then I picked another 21, then Piddly Soul there picked another 21, and then so that's only 63. 64 was Billy Shakes, William Shakespeare. So that's how we got our 64. We introduced them all last time, and then we did the first 8 matchups. Maybe we can quickly review those to see who passed through the first round. Do you have that for us, Piddly Soul? Can you share that?
You can just call me Piddly.
Okay, Piddly. I'm only hearing you on one side here. It's like you're only in mono, which is strange.
That is strange indeed.
Is that what you're hearing too, GJ Villa?
No, I think I hear both of you in stereo.
Oh, snap.
That's a bad sign. But you know, I heard that Riverside is like infested with Israeli intelligence, so they're probably sabotaging our podcast as we stream.
I think we qualify as some pretty small fish in the sea that they're trawling. So
doesn't matter.
Anyhow.
All right, so to recap our previous matchups, in the first section, we had Albert Camus versus Mario Vargas Llosa, and after a heated debate, Albert Camus came through. In the second, we had William Blake versus Thomas Bernhard. And
hold up! I got one comment to make. You know, we said an important part of this is learning about other authors, even those that technically lose their matchups. And so, I mean, of course, I knew about Vargas Llosa, but I read in the meantime, during our interim, this beautiful book by Vargas Llosa, The Bad Girl. It is now in my personal canon, 5 stars all the way.
Sounds like a perfect title for Maduro.
It is, I'll just ignore that. It is, it's basically Vargas Llosa's Love in the Time of Cholera, his answer to Garcia Marquez, Love in the Time of Cholera. It's amazing, highly recommended. And now, maybe in retrospect, I would have changed my vote.
I tried to tell you. But Llosa. You did the right thing. You went and read the Bad Girl. That is a magisterial book, and Piddly, you're going to have to read that soon. You'll love it. This is one I think you'll really love because it's got a ton of heart, and it's got a lot of humor, and it's a beautiful, beautiful book.
Camus has still been important to me historically, so I can live with it. Anyway, next matchup was...
Next up, we had Toni Morrison versus Viet Thanh Nguyen.
Wait, what about Blake and Bernhard?
He mentioned that Bernhard went through.
Okay, so Bernhard went through. All right. Toni Morrison
versus Viet Thanh Nguyen. I might be mispronouncing
that.
I think
it's pretty close. Yeah, that's good. Yep, okay. That's right. Viet Thanh Nguyen.
And speaking of reading based on recommendations, I am about 150 pages into The Sympathizer. So thank you for that.
Cheers.
GJ.
Yes, indeed.
And I ordered Song of Solomon. So
nice. Yeah, so I found out that I'm reading like a pirated printed version. I don't know if you've ever bought a book like that where you can tell it's kind of like made up of Xerox copies, basically.
Okay.
But it's kind of cool. And I checked the currency and it's Malaysian, so it made it from Malaysia to Egypt, and now it's in Russia. So I love when books take journeys like that.
And you picked it up recently in Egypt, right?
In Egypt, in Dahab, yeah,
okay.
This little seaside town, yeah. So
that's fantastic.
But yeah, very good, very entertaining, and he just assassinated the corpulent major, and Bond. So anyway, okay. Next
this
up,
is highly annoying. I'm only hearing both of you in my right channel.
Oh no!
And it just
do you want to?
It started out in
stereo.
stereo.
In and out again. Did you try?
Let's see if that does anything. Hello?
Yep.
Test.
Hello.
No. Just keep going.
All right.
Okay. And finally, we had Zora Neale Hurston against Ovid, and Zora Neale Hurston came through. And I know Maduro, you wanted to maybe mention your recent read of.
That's right. So I also picked up a copy of her classic work, Their Eyes Were Watching God, which for some strange reason I had never read, but I loved it. 5 stars, brilliant. And so I'm glad this gave me the opportunity or the excuse to finally read that. I would still place Ovid above her in my personal canon, just because of his historical influence on me, but
obviously you're kind of biased.
How so?
I just wanted to say obviously. Sorry.
Oh, all right. Great. Well, I mean, maybe I overemphasize the Greek and Roman classics, but
you are a classicist, a trained classicist after all. So
the Metamorphoses has been, important to me, but this is a recent passion, I guess you could say. I would like to read, especially her, anthropological works. I think those would be quite interesting.
Yeah, me too. I'd like to as well. It is a
beautiful. All right, so that was.
All right, moving on.
Those were the results of the first 8. Actually, wait, that's only 4 matchups. Did we do more? We did. Okay.
Yeah, we've got another 4.
Okay.
So at the top of the next section, we've got Roberto Calasso against Andre Benjamin.
Who?
The Dark Horse. You do not know him? He's part of the canon over in the hip-hop worlds.
Right. Okay, well.
Yeah, so one of the
who won that?
Outcast. So against all odds, Roberto Calasso came through. I'm getting a lot of hate mail about that, but I'll deal with it.
Yeah.
Next up, we've had the Czech Franz Kafka versus Oscar Wilde, and the dandy came through on that one, Oscar Wilde.
And just to quickly interject, that to me is the one that haunts, quote unquote, me. Right? It could have gone either way, and
that was a crazy one.
A crazy one, right?
I was the lone.
You're talking about the Andre versus Roberto.
I'm talking about the Kafka Wilde.
Oh, sorry.
I was the lone Kafkaesque voice.
Well, as soon as I said Wilde, I'm like, wait a second, because Kafka has been, in terms of reading experiences, the trial is still so mind blowing, and the stories are unlike anything. So, in any case.
Next up, we had the drunkard Hemingway versus Arthur Miller, and Hemingway prevailed there. Big Papa,
rightly
indeed.
So.
And finally, we looked at Virginia Woolf versus Marcel Proust, and the Frenchman was victorious in that matchup.
I think I was the dissenting. I was the dissenting vote there, and I since then revisited to the Mrs. Dalloway, which is just absolutely gorgeous.
We'll send you some more choice passages from In Search of Lost Time.
There you go. There you go.
Okay. All right, host. Okay. Where do we go from here?
Well, now we go to the plan is to do the next 24 matchups. We'll see how far we get.
All right, so we're going to plug in some names into the bracket. Should we draw the next 8 names?
Okay, if that's how you've got it arranged, sure.
Let's do it.
Okay. All right, so let's share this tab and give it a spin. Not sure if you guys are getting the sound effect of the...
It's really patchy.
All right, we've got Elif Shafak. I'm going to be her main proponent today.
I'm hearing the demon voice again.
I am for the whatever you're using there. The ball was spinning, but it was patchy and the sound was kind of choppy. You're coming in fine though, so it doesn't really matter.
All right, so the Turkish writer Elif Shafak, fantastic contemporary writer, and she will be going up against another modern and also bestseller, good lord, the Japanese Murakami Haruki, or Haruki Murakami as the Westerners would have it. So that should be a fun matchup. Next up, we have Michel Welbeck. And that is quite a... I'm spelling that like me. No, it's not spelling it like that. Okay. I tried copy pasting, but it came off kind of strange. I can hear myself now, by the way.
Yeah, I can hear Neko too.
For yourself or just for me?
For myself as well.
Okay.
Now it's gone.
All right, nice. Me too. Okay. So, all right. Let's see who he will battle it out against. All right, Dante. Formidable opponent there. Oh man, I love the juxtaposition of these personages. All right, next up, we've got George Orwell.
All right,
who has never felt more relevant, although I feel like you could always say that. So, against the writer / philosopher Schopenhauer. And in our final matchup of this particular section, it is Samuel Coleridge. Let's see which albatross has been placed around his neck today to battle up against. Oh, Big Daddy! Daddy has entered the competition, ladies and gentlemen.
Just strode into the salon.
Oh shit!
All right.
I will stop sharing that anyway. I don't think there's not really need to share it all anymore, is there? So
okay. So we've got 8.
Yeah, we've got our next 8 lined up.
All right.
First matchup is
Well, first of all, have either of you read any Elif Shafak?
I have not.
Nope.
Okay. So glad that's been established. And how about, I know you've read some Murakami Maduro in your time in
I've read probably half a dozen of his books.
Cool. So I'll do 1 minute in praise of Elif Shafak, and then maybe we can all talk about Murakami a little bit. Yeah?
Sure.
So positives about Elif Shafak. First of all, she graduated from the same creative writing program as I studied in. So U of A, we have a nice creative writing program down in Tucson. Highly recommend it to all our younger listeners who are considering a degree in creative writing. Her strengths as a writer, she works with detail and descriptions very beautifully. She portrays contemporary Turkish society and the various schisms within that between those who are more religious and it's more like secular Istanbulite coffee shop sector. Very good if you're ever planning a trip to Turkey. And one book that I've read several times is like a historical fiction novel about Rumi and his relationship with Shams of Tabriz, who was like a ecstatic poet as well. And I really enjoyed that one. So I would highly recommend that book to both of you. It's called The 40 Rules of Love, as I said. Kind of flips back and forth between modern times and the historical lives of these mammoth writers. And it's a good couple read. Neither of you may be into that. Maybe you are. But it's a great book to read with a partner and
nice.
Or maybe with a
tell
book
me
club.
the name of the novel again that you recommend.
That's 40 Rules, The 40 Rules of Love.
Okay.
That sounds great, actually.
So
right. Is she at all connected to Orhan Pamuk, who is the Turkish Nobel laureate of recent years?
So her place in the like literary media sphere, she writes for The Guardian on occasion. She's got like a TED Talk. She's really into like pluralism. She's bisexual, which is somewhat provocative in Turkish society.
I've read some of the pieces she'll do for The Guardian from time to time.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, and I know of her, but
right,
I've not read her work and clearly need to. This is definitely on the list.
She's like upper echelon elite airport novel, if you know what I'm saying. Like yeah. You'll find her work in airports, but
that's fine.
She's very good, very talented.
Sounds page turning and kind of
absolutely
engaging. So, and plus, if it's about Rumi, among other things, right? Wonderful.
Yeah. I would love to read that book with you guys again and discuss. All right, let's jump into Murakami Haruki. Who wants to take the first swing? I think it was my nomination, but I still would love to pass the mic.
Murakami, for me, is one of those writers I'm really glad that I read and always enjoyed being in his worlds. They got a little redundant after a while. Would I revisit? I'm not sure. I don't feel compelled to at this point. But it's sort of has I like the way he dips into American culture. He's obviously influenced by noir and by sort of detective stories and his sort of very kind of low-key Beatles listening narrators, right? Sort of lost in their ordinary lives, and then something they get launched into this extraordinary or strangely surreal world, right? So Wild Sheep Chase is, I think, my favorite, one of his earlier books, at least. That is a lot of fun.
I was gonna say that I first read that on your recommendation, GJ.
Like 20, 30 years, whatever, however many decades back it was.
In the early days of the Houston Joyce Society. So I read that and loved it. I think it was before I made my first trip to Japan, so it was maybe more exciting to me then than it would be now. But just a very fun but literary read, and I think I read the sequel, Dance, Dance, Dance.
Yeah, same. Kafka on the Shore.
I've read Norwegian Wood and Kafka on the Shore.
I loved Kafka on the Shore.
Yeah, I enjoyed it too.
Say again?
I enjoyed it also, Kafka on the Shore.
Yeah. Wind Up Bird Chronicle is stunning at times, but bloated.
I read his IQ 84, which is huge, and I thought that was tremendous. To be honest, I feel like his reputation is somewhat, I don't know, I feel like there's a snobbery around Murakami, which for me is unmerited. I think he's a genius in terms of, I don't know, his ideas, they're so creative. His tone is so distinctive that you kind of always feel that you're in a Murakami world. He's so prolific, which is just, I mean, he's very disciplined as a writer. I one book I read by him that I didn't particularly like was Why I Run, or something about his running habits.
Oh, right, a nonfiction.
Yeah, I didn't particularly like it, but it was interesting in the sense of how Spartan his lifestyle is, these insane kind of daily 3-hour runs, then then the nap, then the mammoth writing sessions.
Mm-hmm.
Quite encyclopedic in the way that he refers to jazz music and other aspects of, as you said, maybe
Western culture.
Rock. I mean, he's vinyl collector, which is also an aspect of Japanese culture that you'd find. These whiskey jazz bars always find their way into his books, and it's he's obviously not a writer like Mishima. I mean, very different. So but
there's a kind of
he's kind of the anti Mishima. I think what were we talking about? Wild Sheep Chase was a kind of parody of the cult of Mishima, or maybe a particular Mishima book.
Well, just a Murakami protagonist is the kind of laid back guy who meanders through life in easygoing fashion, which is definitely not what you think about in terms of masculinity when you consider Mishima and what he explored both in his life and in his fiction. That's a simplification, I know, because I know you've read way more Mishima than I have, Maduro. But anyway, should we vote?
Sure.
So, Murakami, because what else can I do?
I'm going to go Murakami.
Yeah, but I have noted that, and that's one of the things I look forward to in terms of these conversations, getting some good recommendations.
Yeah, Murakami.
And Maduro, you also, I assume, going to go with Haruki.
Yes.
So Murakami would be a first name in this context, right?
Murakami is his family name.
But I hear Japanese people say they'll say Murakami Haruki. Maybe that's just because they're saying the surname first.
The surname is always first.
Oh, okay, got you. All right,
Mishima Yukio is what it should be, technically.
Okay. All right, I will let you two take the lead on the next matchup. That's again Welbeck versus Dante.
Ooh.
Huh.
Are we starting with Welbeck?
Yeah, you take that.
I threw him in the mix because I love the French misanthrope. There's some right sort of leaning sensibilities that are also disturbing, but he is, I think, a fucking grand scabrous satirist. He's kind of like Jonathan Swift in a lot of ways in terms of what he does in his novel and his relentless evisceration of the West and the bankrupt promises of secular humanism and consumerist culture. And every book of his that I've read, and I've read several, have found compelling, some more than others. But I'll definitely go back to the Elementary Particles. I've The Map and the Territory I've read twice, right? And so I'm at a point in my life where rereading is as important to reading. Like, he's one I'll read more of and go back to and reread.
Have you read Platform?
Yes.
Okay, that's one that's on my list. I think
Submission.
I've only read.
Have you read Submission?
I think that's the only thing
that is grand.
read.
Yeah. So,
and I've read Platform. That's the only book by him I've read.
Yeah. Check out The Elementary Particles, the one that launched him sort of into international. Here's the new. The French always need a bad boy, and that launched him into in this tradition of French writers who really push limits and so on. But check that out and let me know what you think.
See the modern Céline.
Yeah, that kind of, it's cliche, but Céline, or think 19th century Baudelaire, Rimbaud, all these transgressive French writers, right? So, but I love
my buddy Carlos
Sade.
Is like a massive fan. So, and
is he?
Tend to respect his taste.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, is there tremendous misogyny? Yes, of course. This is Welbeck, right? But it's more complicated. He's not. Is he endorsing? He's diagnosing. He certainly gets into realms of the European sort of secular, depleted, masculine, protagonist and all his pathologies, right? So, to me, that's too easily dismissive. Like, this sort of like, well, he's a misogynist, and why should we read that? That's like kind of part of the whole package, and the package is much more expansive than that, in my opinion. There's my take for Welbeck.
Okay, well, I guess I'm the Dante advocate.
I love Inferno, so this is like let's hear what you have to say.
Well, I mean, that's just part one of the Divine Comedy, right? You go to hell, then you got to go to
Purgatorio,
and then Paradiso. But yeah, probably. I mean, just as Paradise Lost is the best version of Milton, and it's a more powerful poem than Paradise Regained. You'd probably have to say that the Inferno is the best or the most interesting of the three books of Dante's great epic, right? Or the 3 volumes. We might ponder why that's the case. It's like war makes for more interesting reading than peace, but
for me, I think it's the way that he catalogs systematically within this sort of Christian scheme the various ways and levels that humans can be depraved, right? And so you see all the delineations and all the here, and then it's so interesting some of the things he does when he showcases sympathy for sinners who he nonetheless by his orthodoxy has to condemn, right? Like in the realm of the Sodomites, one of his beloved Bruno, I think something or other, right? Beloved teacher he loved, but he was a sodomite, so he has to be there. But the depiction in that is one of tremendous sympathy when Dante interacts with his ghost. So it's beautiful. It's an amazing book.
Well, I'll have to say that translations are very important. The first time I read it, it was like one of these great books of the Western world volumes, and the translation was terrible, and I just didn't get it. And then I think I ended up reading the Mandelbaum translation. I think that's what's on my shelf now, and that was fantastic. And so that really, really opened up the work for me. Oh, and it was like, I think it was Italian on one page and English on the other, facing translation, so you could look at the original. And it's just it's very important to pick a
absolutely. And I'll throw just one more thing out, just in terms of Dante and why he's a strong contender. Like when you take the time to in a good edition, we'll have like the footnotes and some information about the historical figures that he's referring to. and the Florentine situation. Talk about a completely corrupt society, and the various, particularly when you get into the levels of fraud, that last level, right? Which is worse than crimes of passion, right? Because it's men's perversion of reason and so on to deceive and manipulate his fellow man, right? When you get to those levels, you get a real education in terms of what that society looked like, right? And then when you learn more about Dante and the fact that he was exiled for political reasons from Florence, right? Writing this, wandering from, one court to the other, because he did have, he was sort of a lodger in these places. It makes for a more profound sort of experience.
Is it the same time as like the Medici family?
Yes, yeah.
Well, I was gonna say those Italian city-states, those are the models for what the tech bros want to build for us, right? They want to be
that's a good point.
Doges.
That's a good point. Yeah, techno-feudalism. Yeah.
15-minute cities that they all want to lock us into. So maybe that's
all right.
Background reading for the present day. I vote Dante.
I'm going to go Welbeck.
And I'm going to go Dante.
All right.
Catholic boy.
Despite my most ignorant view, but I'm more keen to read some Dante. And all my trips to Italy, I feel a bit ashamed not to have read their bards. So
get a good translation, as Maduro said, of the Inferno.
Absolutely.
It is really fantastic.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, gents. Next up, we've got George Orwell against Arthur Schopenhauer.
Oh, this is crazy.
Well, I have not read Schopenhauer beyond references to him and small blurbs, so I have not really read him. I'll put that on the table.
Yeah, I think I've used him in my master's thesis. But it's vague. Did he write about music to some extent? I think he did, right? Music and dance.
I think there's an essay on music in volume 2 of The World as Will and Representation. I've only read volume 1, which is a massive tome, but that's like the complete explication of his philosophy. I guess we'll talk about Schopenhauer first. It was either Schopenhauer or Nietzsche. Nietzsche is maybe a more obvious choice, more popular choice, but there would be no Nietzsche without Schopenhauer. Of course, there would be no Schopenhauer without Kant and Plato and so on. But I just think
he was reacting against Kant.
Well, to some extent, yes. But I mean, I know you're getting that from John Gray, but if you read The World as Will and Representation, he may have his criticisms of Kant, but he basically the distinction between the thing in itself and the what's it called, the numinous, basically the idea of the thing, right? Like we can never know the thing, the Ding an sich, right? The thing
that comes
itself.
From Kant,
right? And so that's important to Schopenhauer's.
But then his basic argument that therefore sort of human will is that the thing, our impulses, our instincts.
Go on.
No, I'm asking the question, right? Because you're more familiar with his work than I am.
Well, I mean, I think that's
the world is will and representation.
The John Gray interpretation from Straw Dogs, but as I was reading it, volume 1, I was struck by how it's very Platonic. He kind of uses different terminology to refer to Platonic, what we think of as the Platonic ideas. I mean, I guess that would be like what he calls representation, but more importantly for me is he's the Western philosopher who most enthusiastically embraced Eastern ideas,
right?
Especially Hinduism, the Upanishads, the Bhagavad Gita, and basically all of that Sanskritic literature, which the Germans were really the first to do that. A lot of German scholars were the first Europeans to translate that and to recognize connections with other Indo-European cultures, like the Greeks and the Romans, most importantly. But but he's also open to like Buddhist ideas. Before him, there wasn't really anyone open to that. So I think that's a very significant accomplishment and achievement. And
it's certainly sort of a sort of veer away from that Western philosophical tradition of championing, reason and rationality, right? In terms of going back to Descartes and his influence, right?
Yeah. Well, he also embraces like the Buddhist, or I guess Hindu Buddhist concept of Maya,
right.
Like everything in the noumenal, is that the adjective? Noumenal, Noumenal, meaning the things of the mind, right? That's all just Maya. That's all just illusion. We can never know the thing itself. It's all just a manifestation of the will to to life, I guess you could say.
Well, that certainly gets interestingly magnified in our technological, digital age, where we're swimming in front of screens most of our time, right? Looking at all these things coming our ways, right? The Maya flowing in and out. Anyway, Schopenhauer, well done. All right. Versus George Orwell. Oh, go ahead.
He may have been my nomination. Yeah, Orwell, if we're moving on. So
okay.
He was he was on your list.
How much have we all read of Orwell? I assume obviously Animal Farm 1984, that's not even a question. And then
I've read
some beyond
Homage to Catalonia, which is just fantastic. What is that first fiction set in Burma? Burma Days I read, which I liked okay. It was good.
I liked the essay, How to Shoot an Elephant. Maybe you read that.
Yep.
Homage to Catalonia I want to reread. That is a masterpiece of just journalism and empathy and nuance, and he's also just a great storyteller. But obviously we can't talk about him without talking about 1984 and its ongoing relevance and so on. So, I mean, obviously a hugely important writer in so many ways.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm teaching Animal Farm right now, and it also, I mean, it's just a baby version, basically. I mean, there's so much of just
but it's unforgettable, right?
It's incredible.
Even kids who don't like to read, like when they read Animal Farm, they kind of like, whoa, that sticks with them, right? So,
no, it's one of my fondest early reading memories, like being in 7th grade and reading it the same evening it was assigned,
Right.
And but yeah, 1984. I remember that read too when I was a kid, and just like the intensity, the kind of the power that it had on me at the time, and then in subsequent reads as well. Not only the ideas, but the storyline as well, and just the
torture and breakdown of Winston Smith. I remember when I first read that scene where Smith has been tortured and he feebly tries to tell, is it O'Brien? Is that his name? The torturer, the ideologue, like the dignity of man will overcome you, and basically takes him before a mirror and strips him down and shows him his emaciated body, and he says, "This is the spirit of man. This is going." And I just remember when I read it, whatever it was, like 15 or something like that, 16, my mind just like holy fuck, right? It was just this mind-blowing scenes, right? That you hadn't.
And I think you didn't expect such a depressing ending in a way at that age. Like,
he loved Big Brother. I mean, right.
The boot in the face for eternity.
For eternity, if you want to see what the future of humanity looks like,
very prophetic.
No doubt about it.
I see where this conversation is going. Orwell's going to win. I'm going to vote for Schopenhauer just to put him out there, but I'm perfectly fine with Orwell carrying.
Is that your way of saying move on?
Well, I'll let you vote, but I know what you're going to say.
Yeah,
I mean, I'll also
I definitely want to explore more Schopenhauer, but will I read him directly or just continue reading other people's readings of, as I just did with John Gray, right? I don't know. We'll see. But yes, Orwell for me.
One thing to note about Orwell personally is that he did have connections to British intelligence, and he was like ratting on communists, and he got some people locked up, like Alexander Coburn's father, I think, got in trouble because of some reports that Orwell specifically made against him and others. He also said disparaging things about Auden and Isherwood.
Auden. Okay, Auden and Isherwood.
Auden and Isherwood, calling them pansies.
Yeah.
So that's just whatever. But
that sounds like good stuff to read in a good biography because of the politically charged context of the time, and it'd be interesting to see the context in which these moments arose and so on, right? But anyway.
Well, he also had some really Orientalist, or I don't know, anti-Orientalist, Orientalist in the sense of Edward Said, views of Burma, for example, right? And if you read, I remember I was reading aloud some passages from 1984, and I don't remember what it is, but I don't know if he's specifically Burmese, but it's like some Asian servant, and he's described as like a disgusting yellow. I remember I was reading that aloud I didn't plan. We're just like reading.
Burmese class?
No, my Taiwanese class, but it's like, okay, page 54. let's just keep reading, and I'm reading it aloud, and it's like the dirty yellow Oriental, and it's like, I mean, it hadn't occurred to me, but like when I'm reading it in Taiwan, the Taiwanese students, it's like, oh, this is, it's a little bit, I'm a little bit uncomfortable,
Well, I'm glad you said that because, to some degree, I feel small nuances of that same sentiment with Animal Farm teaching that in Russia, because like, guys, it's the Russian Revolution, and then like, oh, this is this guy, and this is Trotsky, and fair enough, but you kind of want the criticism to be equally spread. So when you've kind of got the Soviet Union portrayed as like the evil empire versus, well, I don't mind that criticism. Much of it is probably deserved, but then when it seems to be somewhat focused on one system, and kind of what is that leaving out, right?
Well, but I mean, I think it was either the intro to Animal Farm or 1984. Eric Fromm, that psychologist, he wrote the intro, and he was saying, now everyone in the West says, oh, it's about Soviet barbarism. His point was he means us too. So that.
Well,
this is a nuanced conversation, right? Like we can still say 1984 is great, Animal Farm is great, but we can also say
100%
that he did work for British intelligence. He may have had like what we would now call colonialist racist
of course.
views.
I mean, how could you not, right? How could you not? I mean, yes, he did, he went over, shooting an elephant, going back to that. Obviously, that's highly critical of English colonialism. There's that, right? But there's still these attitudes, right? And then you have to think, is this attitude Orwell himself, or is this a character, right? Is he critiquing it? Is he, or is it just coming out as a cultural bias? But that, to me, makes it all the more interesting, right? I mean, we're all in this web called history, right? This Maya called history and so on. And we are limited in our perspectives, right? So even the idea that George Orwell should be unimpeachable as a saint, right, is ridiculous, because nobody is, but he is oftentimes, sanctified and rightly so for a lot of the things he did, right?
Well, what about Maduro? He's a saint, right? All right, so Orwell.
And just the last thing is, do you think he's the most referenced author today? I mean, and he's one of those writers that are like,
well, that's the other thing that's interesting, that he can be appropriated from the left or the right, right?
Exactly.
Rightly or wrongly, and you can look at each case and give more validity to one or the other, depending on the context. But that makes it all the more interesting, right? He can't be pinned down to one side of the so-called spectrum.
I think it's also worth noting.
Saying, go ahead, Mark.
Well, I think it's also worth noting that he made the list, whereas Aldous Huxley didn't, and I think that is a testament to the fact that 1984 is a superior work of literature. It's superior to Brave New World, in my opinion.
I would argue otherwise, but because I think Huxley has enormous influence in terms of his looking at the future dystopia not as a boot in the face, but as endless distraction and mindlessness and consumption and so on. But anyway, that's a different issue altogether.
One other Orwell.
Maybe not.
No. Well, go ahead. Fuck it.
No, I'm just saying Huxley, like Brave New Worlds. If we're talking about the concepts, I wouldn't disagree with you, or like the prophetic aspect. But in terms of like the actual power of the prose to grab you, I don't know. I just read.
I agree with that.
The other, that's.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, just I read the Utopia sort of sequel recently. I can't remember the name, but
Island.
Yeah, Island. I was pretty disappointed by that, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like,
I thought it was okay.
Pretty cringy.
But are you saying you prefer Brave New World to 1984?
In terms of a reading experience, no. Right? Like, I think that story is wrought in a way that's more compelling to read in terms of the ideas in Brave New World, right, and their relevance to ourselves today.
Okay.
As powerful.
Yeah.
Sure. Okay. I see. But as a work of literature,
no, I'll go Orwell. I'll
1984.
Go Orwell. Right.
Which, and I think Huxley was like a student of Orwell's.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
You know what I mean? Like, I think
how is that?
Orwell did some teaching, and so he was like, I don't know if he was a complete.
I thought they were more contemporary,
different generation, but he's Orwell is older, and I think I read somewhere that like maybe he was teaching at a school that Huxley and his younger contemporaries may have.
I mean, Huxley came from a very prominent intellectual family too, enormous privilege. So
some of whom were eugenicists. So that's an interesting background. But the last thing I'll say is, 1984 is a ripoff of a Russian novel called We.
Oh, right. I still haven't read it.
So if you haven't read that, I would recommend it.
Yeah.
Our friend Maria C. in Houston, that's one of her favorite novels. She thinks people who rave about 1984 and Brave New World are insane. That's the greatest, That's the greatest dystopian novel of all time.
Another one for the list. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've heard over the years from a lot of people who love that book. So
Yeah, there's a great song called "Dystopian Theme Song" that draws on Orwell and Huxley too. So we'll put that in the show notes.
All right, our final matchup today. No, sorry, for this section is between Samuel Coleridge and William Shakespeare.
Who offered who offered in?
Offer. I did.
Let's start with you. I mean, yeah.
Coleridge is yours.
Yeah. Well, exactly. Let's all say something in praise of Coleridge at least before he, takes his L.
Rime of the Ancient Mariner.
Rime of the Ancient Mariner. Fantastic.
Kubla Khan.
Kubla Khan.
Yeah.
So, these writers working
Laudanum.
Exactly, with opiates and the romantic tradition I just feel like is compelling.
Yeah.
And it's a movement worth reading, and he's obviously prominent among those.
Right.
And in some way kind of maybe more playful and more maybe visceral than Wordsworth, you could say. He's got maybe more of a youthful spirit. I mean, he died younger as well, I'm pretty sure, right? But
not as young as John Keats, but yeah, I think you're right.
That's true, right? What do you like about Coleridge?
Drugs.
I write in
drugs.
Yeah. Well, I mean, for the official drugs, I would who's the opium eater? De Quincey.
Yeah.
De Quincey would be my top if you're looking for the romantic drug connection.
Yeah.
But I mean, maybe that's
Coleridge. Honestly, I haven't read that much since probably my undergrad days when I did studied the British Romantics. I mean, obviously an important English poet, right?
Does he come up? You teach literature, so is he in any of your textbooks?
Not in any of mine. And when I think about the Romantic poets, I haven't read enough Coleridge, but I've read more and enjoyed more Keats and Blake, Shelley, even Byron, who's Don Juan or Don Juan. That was a hell of a lot of fun. I remember 30 plus years ago, beyond that. So in that sense, maybe my least favorite of the Romantics, but just I haven't really given him enough time. So that's all I can really say about him.
I just got my stereo back.
Oh, great.
I think how about you, Maduro?
Properly
have you looked
plugged in?
I told you. Have you looked at?
No, here.
Since
not here. Being what?
What's your take on Coleridge?
Since academic life?
Well, I just said, I love the Kubla Khan poem. I love Rime of the Ancient Mariner. There's one called the Aeolian Harp, which is an important romantic image. That's it's not a wind chime, but it's an instrument that's just played by the wind, and so it's a romantic image of the human soul, which is played upon by.
And beyond that, the articulator of that soul, which is the Romantic poet, as a instrument that is played upon, right?
Yeah,
it's something coming into you, and you channel it, right, rather than the creator of it.
Yeah. Is it the inspiration for aioli sauce?
Yeah, of course.
All right. Anything else about Coleridge?
Yeah, he's no Byron or Shelley or Blake, but I prefer him to Wordsworth.
Yeah, I actually like Wordsworth, but we'll move on.
I like Wordsworth.
I like the sort of beauty of.
I do too, but he liked his sister, so.
Oh well, there we go. Byron tended to like some family members himself, though.
Okay, so we're gonna draw our next 8. How are we doing, GJ, with time?
Wait, who won?
Are we just gonna go ahead and just give it to Billy Shakes?
I wrote his name out. I wrote his name down 5 minutes ago. Yeah.
I mean, of course, William Shakespeare is going to defeat, he will face stronger challenges.
He'll face Orwell next, so we can maybe talk about him more there.
Yeah. But in terms of Shakespeare, just so many things we could say. We'll move on.
Yeah, let's save Shakespeare.
So do we have one more side to do? Is that right?
Well, we could do another 8. That would be the next logical. Or
let me very quickly just take a 1-2 minute intermission. It's going to, but I'll be right back. You can set up the next slide.
Spin the wheel while you're while he's
you can set it up.
Restroom break.
Okay. Do you want me to display or just tell you what comes up?
I say just do it. I'll take a break too.
All right.
Or do you need me to comment on your?
No, you can if you want. Or so we've got Don DeLillo in the first spot.
Did you spin it? I didn't hear anything.
Yeah, I just spun. Well, because I didn't bother sharing. Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. Those sound effects were pretty grating. So DeLillo versus
Emily Dickinson.
Okay. And then Dead Air. Brrr.
Sue Townsend.
Okay. And
note his mocking reaction, listeners.
I'm not familiar with her. I mean, you told me
James
about
Joyce.
her.
What did I miss?
I looked her up, and I thought she sounded quite interesting. DeLillo versus Dickinson. Sue Townsend versus Joyce.
Okay.
Yeah. Haters.
I didn't say anything.
You guys are haters. You don't even
come on. Anything. Next.
Mishima.
Spin that bitch.
Mishima.
I'm spinning.
Spin faster. Versus
prematurely
ejaculate.
Spinaculate. Versus Sherman Alexie.
This is the most interesting part of our.
We're not showcasing
broadcast.
The wheel.
Apparently not.
Yeah, that's
fine.
That's intentional.
Editorial decision.
And
we've got
the last, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Nikolai Gogol
versus
versus the fellow Russian Fyodor Dostoevsky.
Oh.
Or Ukrainian. We could call Gogol Ukrainian, but I won't go there.
Okay. He's from the borderland.
Well, originally, from Ukraine, but I did a lot of his writing in Russia. Different times.
Well,
all right.
Yeah.
They're all linked.
I won't. Huh?
They're all linked. Yeah. Okay. So DeLillo versus Dickinson. Am I pronouncing that right? DeLillo?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. You guys take
I think I put DeLillo in just for transparency.
Right,
I second that. I second that, but you introduce him or advocate for him.
Oh, is that okay? Right. So DeLillo, I just think his middle period after his early experiments in the 80s and 90s, he went on a 5-novel run that few can match, right? So the names, White Noise, Libra, Maltu, and Underworld, for me, all tremendous reading experiences. White Noise, I've taught multiple times. I know it like the back of my hand. I love that novel in so many ways, and I'm now listening to the audiobook version, and it is just I can just go back again and again, and so it's almost like an extended stand-up routine, but it's also brilliant and dark and strange, and in the mid 80s, he is, in that book at least, writing about things, just television and radio and information and tabloids and so on, and consumerism, stuff that is now amplified, obviously, in our digital world. But the book doesn't feel dated because of his representation of these strange events in this little town called Blacksmith, which gets hit with this big airborne toxic event, and there's other plots that happen too. But so there, I'll revisit his work for sure. I'm doing that now. I want to go back and do Libra. I might listen to the audiobook for that. So I've been listening to a bunch of audiobooks and just going back to books, that I've read before. It's been a great way to sort of revisit some of these, but I love them.
It started with White Noise for me, and that was on your recommendation too. And I think you heard about him from your colleague Bart, right?
Yeah, a good friend of mine did his dissertation on DeLillo. That was back in the 90s, right? So when DeLillo was kind of at his kind of cultural or literary peak, right? The 90s, I think, is when he was like, up to the publication of Underworld.
It was a very important reading experience for me, White Noise. I hadn't really read anything like that. I could detect like the Hemingway influence, but it also read like a Talking Heads album, I remember thinking that as I was
some of the conversations almost feel Seinfeldian, in terms of the subtle humor, the wry deadpan humor. The voice is just pitch perfect. Jack Black.
I like Seinfeldian. I like that term.
Yeah. Have you read White Noise?
No, I need to.
Oh, if you haven't read DeLillo, start with that.
Okay.
But I would have to say, and interestingly, I think I may have actually read more DeLillo than you. I kind of went through a DeLillo completionist phase, as I tend to do. I went back and read like Great Jones Street, which is
I need to read that. His rock and roll story.
It's not great, but I didn't dislike it. I enjoyed it. It's kind of based somewhat on Bob Dylan.
Yeah.
During his, post motorcycle accident Woodstock phase or whatever. I think the character's name is Bucky Wonderlick or something like that.
Yeah.
It's not great, but it's somewhat enjoyable. The names, I was very powerfully influenced by that. Mal too, I thought was great. But later I read Libra, and to me that's his masterpiece. That's his
you can make that
take on the JFK assassination.
It's historical fiction that is just tremendous.
Yeah, it's great.
And Oswald is a character, not to mention the other minor characters, but
how is Oswald portrayed?
Well, he's the Libra.
Oswald is the solitary man living. The opening scene, he's in the subways of New York, and he's shooting through. He's underground, kind of the underground man. But ultimately, he's also kind of a puppet. And DeLillo has some scenes which show the way in which he's used. One scene in which he's sexually abused in the process of being used by a character whose name I forget. David Ferry. That's right. That was amazing. I need to reread. It's an incredible book. The star in DeLillo is the fucking language. I mean, in my opinion, right? His command of the English language, the things that his syntax, his repetitions, his sculpted prose. I love him.
Some of the later works are more slight and, you could say not as
Cosmopolis, The Body Artist. I read Falling Man.
I thought, okay, yeah, I think I did too. The Body Artist was so awful that I almost stopped reading him altogether. I remember
you had an aversion to that book.
I think I told you. You said, "What was that like?" I said, "It's like DeLillo took a shit on his keyboard. That's what the body artist was, and I think it was a rip off of a Paul Auster book, but I can't prove that at this point. But Cosmopolis I enjoyed. That's kind of his short, condensed, fun take on Ulysses. So
yeah, I didn't read that, but I saw the movie version by Cronenberg, film, one of my favorites,
which is also good.
Not one of my favorites.
He's very much associated with postmodernism, right?
Yeah, he's sort of lumped in with the postmodernists,
but he's not, not the stereotypical postmodernist.
People get that specifically from White Noise, I think, in a lot of ways. But his, that's a little bit of a simplification.
I doubt he would accept or embrace that label. Yeah.
And which book would you say is the most accessible by him?
White Noise.
I'd say begin with White Noise if you're going to explore DeLillo.
I agree.
Cool.
That's quintessential DeLillo.
So then for Dickinson,
whom I'm voting for, I'll just say.
Yeah, I nominated her without knowing particularly much about her. I've enjoyed my readings of her work, but just on individual poem basis, and I just felt like we needed a bit more female representation.
Yeah,
so,
DEI choice. She's great, man. She's I love a lot of her verses, which are based on like the church hymns she heard in her Massachusetts during her Massachusetts
it's so
upbringing, I
brilliantly guess. Elliptical, just what she can accomplish in a quatrain sometimes is just magnificent. Some of her insights, her wry observations, her societal critiques. I mean, a genius.
I mean, she's one of the
the way she uses dashes,
mothers
right?
of American
the typography
poetry.
of the poems, right? And the fact that we know that she was working like in solitary, she was writing for herself, right, primarily. Maybe I don't know if she was published or not in her lifetime, but she certainly lived on the surface her life.
She wrote a lot of letters, right?
Believe so.
To someone, wasn't she? I think she had.
I haven't looked into it enough, right? Like I've read a lot of her poetry, but I haven't really looked enough into her biography. But are we ready to vote?
Yeah, I'm voting for Dickinson. You guys are voting for DeLillo, so I've written in DeLillo.
Mm-hmm.
DeLillo.
Fair enough.
Oh, I thought you said you were voting Dickinson, Maduro.
Yeah, I am.
No, Maduro or Maku.
Pidley. No, I didn't say that.
Okay, never mind. I misheard. All right.
No, I said DeLillo, whom I'm voting for.
Okay, DeLillo moves on. Right.
I hope I said that because that's what I meant. But anyway,
I love the way that Villa pronounces Maduro's name each time with like a little extra spice there. Maduro.
Es inocente.
So, all right, I will give my obituary to Sue Townsend.
Well, tell us about Sue Townsend because I don't know her. So this is for you to educate.
Okay, so
educate us here.
She wrote like a huge fictional novel about a guy named Adrian Mole. It starts when he's age 13 3/4 and to I think maybe as old as like his early 30s. It takes place begins in the 80s, I believe, in UK, lower middle class Leicester, I believe. And the style is very British humor, witty. The protagonist is like a tragic, self-pitying, quasi-intellectual.
So is it comedic? Is it a?
I just say it's very comedic. It's very easy read, it's a book that a 13-year-old can enjoy and a 60-year-old can enjoy. Like I gave it to my AP English language teacher when I was a student, and he read it in the weekend, but he enjoyed it. And
this
There's many books and a lot of criticisms of like Thatcher.
Oh, okay.
Throughout,
it's a multi-book series. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, and it's just super, super funny. I mean,
okay.
The voice is unforgettable. His love affair with this woman named Pandora, with this girl named Pandora. You know, his first sexual experiences. Just his comments on the royalty. I mean, I don't know if this stat is true, but I always like reference it or I always use it in my arguments about her, which is just like her book is better sold than the Bible. Like, well, Adrian Mole series is like the most best-selling book in like English culture.
Oh, really? Okay.
And like you should 100% read it. Like, it's
all right.
I even read like a Polish translation once, and it was like really fun for me because I could kind of, I don't know, it's translated into many languages. It's fantastic book, so fun to read, and
all right.
She's an important cultural figure in the UK.
Fantastic.
Okay, so James Joyce, should I just write him in now and you'll talk about him later, or you want to talk about him now?
I mean, we can wait till later if we want. I'll just say, for me, that's one of the most important writers. I just revisited this time the audiobook version, Colin Farrell reading Portrait of the Artist, and it was just stunning. I went back to Dublin this last year. I'm going to revisit Ulysses this year for the first time in when did we read it, Mark? 30 years ago? 30 years ago, I think it was, right? I've gone back and like read sections here and there and pieces, but I haven't gone back and done a reread of Ulysses, so I'm eager for that. So yes, in short, Joyce is central to me.
Yep, me too.
So yes, Joyce.
Do you want to expound on him more when he meets?
No,
when he
later.
Comes up against DeLillo?
Later. Yeah.
Oh yeah, okay, that'll be fun. Yeah, DeLillo and all right.
All right. So next we've got Mishima and Sherman Alexie. Mark, do you want to talk about Mishima?
Well, first I want to correct something I said before about Schopenhauer. The ding on Zeke, the thing in itself, that is actually what is associated with the noumenon. The noumenon is
the thing we can't know.
With
objective reality beyond our
right. That's the noumenon. That word comes from nous, meaning mind in Greek, right? So this is contrasted with the phenomenon, which is the Maya, right? The phenomenal world is what we see, right? It's what appears to us, but we can never know the noumenon. So I think I did a poor job of explaining that previously.
You are forgiven.
So that's good to know. All right. So Mishima, another canonical author for me. I've read pretty much everything available in English translation, with the exception of a collection of plays. He's got a book that I have on one of these shelves called My Friend Hitler and Other Plays. So I think I haven't read that one yet. But
so if you were to boil it down, like, why do you love him so much, and what would be the work that you would recommend to someone? I've read 2 of his works, but I haven't read nearly as much as you have.
I've read 2 as well, yeah.
I read, of course, The Sailor Who Fell from Grace with the Sea, which is just deeply disturbing. And I think The Sound of Waves we read back in the
Sound of Waves is a very, that's very much overrated. Kind of a sentimental tale.
Yeah, it is sentimental.
Really characteristic of him. Well, I recommend the Sea of Fertility tetralogy. That's just that's.
How about Confessions of a Mask?
Confessions of a Mask.
If you didn't want to start with the quartet, if you want just a standalone novel with Confessions of a Mask or something else, because that's the one I've always wanted to read.
You would probably like that. I mean, that's the book that made him famous. Forbidden Colors is great. Thirst for Love is great. But really, you should just, read volume 1 of the tetralogy.
Okay.
They're all standalone works. and then you'll want to carry on, I think.
Okay. And Spring Snow is the first one, I think, in that one, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Fantastic. That'll be on the list.
But he's his stories are great too. They're story collections that are definitely worth reading, and his nonfiction Sun and Steel, that's pretty interesting description of his aesthetic philosophy.
He veered right at the end of his life, didn't he? And got that's also interesting. His ritualistic suicide and his veering to the right.
It's well, he's the great modern transgressive author, I guess, or one of them, So
all right.
Yeah. Mishima.
Sherman Alexie, how much have you guys read?
The Lone Ranger and Tonto Fist Fight in Heaven, I think, is the only thing I've read by him, which I enjoy.
Okay.
I don't think I've even read that.
Okay. Yeah, he had the potential to be like bigger than he is. So
I think he's embroiled in a sexual harassment scandal.
Exactly. So he was coming up as probably like the most talented and bright voice in Native American literature, and very much like an iconoclastic character who was like repudiating kind of cliche representations of Native Americans, and also like kind of a middle finger to his peers from that genre. Like he was like, I'm not into the mysticism. We're not all like these holy people who are, he was very much writing about sexuality, alcoholism, diabetes, but in very funny ways, gritty ways, very accessible, a lot of heart in his works. And so the book that you mentioned, Lone Ranger and Tonto, very successful collection of short stories. And then he really blew up with his semi-autobiographical young adult novel, Absolutely True Diary of a Part-Time Indian.
Yeah, I know about that one. That's taught in one of our courses.
I've taught that several times. It's amazing, and I regret that I've also had like challenges teaching it because it's like refers to masturbation.
Yeah, you're right.
But again, like in a way that's like very healthy and important. Like people should be reading that as young people. Like they should be getting that exposure, like to kind of get the fear and like taboo away. But of course, these most
puritanical culture freaks out about that, though. Of course, right?
Although even in Europe, I was teaching kids from Germany who they all read it. You know what I mean? So again, in certain cultures, maybe it wouldn't have that same tension about some of the taboo topics. Yeah, and then he did get embroiled, as you said, in a sexual harassment scandal, which has definitely derailed his prominence. He still has a Substack, and he still writes like frequently. His biography is very inspiring. I mean, growing up on the reservation and just like consuming books like they were cereal, and he also had a brain condition. Like he had a lot of cerebral fluid, so he had to have brain surgery at 6 months old. Parents were alcoholics. But I guess the main thing I would say is just like, yeah, the work itself is just accessible, gritty, funny. When I wrote about him in my master's, I talked about how stuff like Pepsi Cola, which a major critic might say, oh yeah, this is like a sugar-based drink that is a cause of demise for the people on the res. Whereas like he wouldn't focus on that as much, and like he would focus on like how delicious a Pepsi is, and like maybe it's almost like ceremonial without like the excess of ceremony, but like the beauty of like having a Pepsi with your homies. So like Yeah, he would at least do the both and rather than just the condemnations. Yeah, he's a big reader. I'm sure you guys would love to read more of his work.
How has he responded to the controversies?
I think basically with apologies.
So he didn't deny.
But yeah, it's he got like the best young adult book award for. I mean, what's the main award for that?
The Newbery.
He won the National Book Award. Yeah, I don't know, for young people's literature, and then it was like rescinded. And he won the Penn Faulkner Award for fiction for War Dances. But yeah, it's a shame in a sense. I mean,
I don't know enough about the case, but I think were there other Native American writers, female writers who turned to him for I mean, of course you would like some guidance or maybe, and he sort of took advantage of his position of power.
Yeah, I mean, I think he did. Sound, it sounded pretty cringy, and
I don't know.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't know what pretty, I haven't read enough about it, but
it sounds fairly predatorial. Yeah. But as a writer, fantastic and highly recommended.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. Well.
And really just the best book to teach young people.
All right.
Like the absolute best book to teach young people.
Which
one?
Accessible. Lone Ranger?
Absolutely True Diary of a Part-Time Indian.
Yeah. Which draws from comic books too, right? It's got images in it. And
yeah, that's a major part of it as well. Yeah, so these really funny images. And it's just a book that kids, they cannot be bored by. Like that kid who's really obstinate and is like anti-reading.
Yeah.
It's one of those books that, because of the amount of like curse words that it uses and like the underdog story, kids just love it. So it's a beautiful book to teach.
So is that the one? If we're gonna read one, we should start with that. The Absolutely True Diary.
Maybe in terms of accessibility, I mean, it's a weekend read, but I would say his other work will obviously be more mature and more.
It's a young adult book,
quote unquote literary.
But I did enjoy. Lone Ranger and Tonto Fist Fight in Heavens. If I remember, they're a series of sort of interlocked sort of stories.
Yeah,
those are pretty good.
War Dances sounds pretty good to me, but I don't know.
All right.
He writes poetry. Reservation Blues, another book by him. Flight, Indian Killer. Okay, thank you.
All right.
All right.
All right. So we have Sherman Alexie versus, who was it again? Mishima. What are your two votes? I know, Mark, you're Mishima.
I'm going Alexie, but I don't think he's necessarily a superior writer, just more sentimental value for me.
I'm going to have to just go with the one I'm going to want to read next, which would be Mishima, right? So I will go with that.
Sure.
And if you're looking for a Mishima book to start with, another good one is The Temple of the Golden Pavilion. It's pretty short.
Okay.
And pretty.
Which one do you think I read? It's like about these boys, and there's a lot of like tension.
That's the sailor who fell from.
Oh yeah.
Okay. I read that in Korea. Yeah.
That's a deeply disturbing.
Made a strong impression.
Yeah.
It was impressive.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. So, Battle of the Russians.
Oh, here we go.
Gogol versus Dostoevsky. For me, it's going to be Dostoevsky because of his scope. Not necessarily because he's, again, a more brilliant mind or a more brilliant writer. I mean, I think Gogol was very apt and brilliant at the short story genre. I mean, I think Dead Souls is remarkable work that really captures aspects of Russian society that are very much present today in terms of this kind of sense of corruption and scheming.
Mm-hmm.
And I say that with love, but like, I taught a Russian businessman in Moscow who you would never associate necessarily with like literature or reading, but he said he's one of these guys who got rich in the 90s and but for him, he said he read Dead Souls and like that's been his kind of like his manual for how to do this stuff.
Right.
But I think we just can't. I think even Gogol would be happy to concede that Dostoevsky's magnitude. I mean, I think, and he lived a much longer life, right? Gogol died young. Dead Souls, unfortunately, was meant to have a sequel, and it was like burned by Gogol, which is a shame because that had a great promise. But okay, I'll stop. But yeah, I'm gonna give my vote for Dostoevsky, with like the crowning achievements being like Karamazov and Crime and Punishment, as well as many others.
Sure.
Yeah, you got to give it up to Big D.
Yeah, but, he's a contender for sure. Crime and Punishment was the first thing I read by him back when I was when I was a teenager, and that just
high school
fucking scrambled my mind. I read it on my own too. It wasn't in class. It was just
nice.
One of those.
I was probably the only one who read it in class anyway.
Yeah. Oh, did you? Lucky you. Yeah.
I mean, I read it in class, but I'm saying like I was probably the only one anyway because a lot of my classmates were yeah.
Actually, I'm glad I didn't read it in class in the high school. Probably.
I had a badass teacher, so
that's good for you. But
props.
Yeah. Dostoevsky. We're basically saving a larger conversation about him when down the line. All right.
Well, you guys should at least give a 30-second for Gogol if you like him.
Well, I've read Dead Souls, at least I guess volume 1. The more and I liked it fine, but and I probably should revisit it again at some point. I know it's ultimately a strange hallucinatory comic novel, right? But I definitely wasn't gripped the way that Dostoevsky grips me.
Mark, you've read quite a bit of Gogol, right? And you've read the classic short stories, The Overcoat, The Nose.
I've read the stories.
I've read some of the stories too. Yes,
I'm embarrassed to say I've not read Dead Souls, and so that's a gap I need to fill.
Well, if you come to Russia, you can like maybe pair the two.
Oh, that's idea.
Pair the two. What two?
Well, I mean, you could read it as you're traveling. It might be a nice accompaniment.
Yeah. That'd be fun.
Reading Gogol in Russia. Yeah.
And his statues are everywhere around the town, and city, like street names and so on. Sure. And he's very much tied to St. Petersburg as well. Okay. So that concludes the second 8, and I'm assuming Villa's gonna have to run. I don't know.
I can do another half hour or so.
Okay. Mark, Maduro, do you want to do another 8? Another 8.
Let's do 8 more. And while you're spinning, I'm going to go. And again, I've been drinking tea this morning, so yeah.
Okay.
And so we're only going to do the next 12 matchups, not 24.
There you go.
This is going to take forever.
Yeah, it's a long-term project.
Go ahead.
We are going faster though.
Yeah, well.
All right,
here we
Tacitus
go.
Is first. Tacitus.
Okay. Versus
Borges.
Okay. Spinning.
Yep.
Imagine the sound effect.
Cormac McCarthy.
Versus.
I could shorten the spinning time, but I'd have to go into the settings, Versus Philip Roth.
Ooh, that is some matchup right there.
What did I miss?
It is. Absolutely.
Tacitus versus Borges. Cormac McCarthy versus Philip Roth.
Oh, shit. Oh, damn. Okay. All right.
Samuel Beckett.
Versus
versus J.M. Coates.
Coetzee.
Sorry about that.
That's
an interesting matchup too.
Yeah, it is.
Beckett and Katsuya.
Oof. Yep, that's...
It's getting crazy.
And Rebecca Solnit.
All right. That was mine.
Versus Judith
versus
Butler.
Our final writer for today, William Faulkner.
Oh, shit.
Okay.
All right. Okay. Let's do it.
Tacitus versus Borges.
All right. Both of these are mine, I think. Tacitus, I chose him because I wanted to pick a Roman historian. I think these writers who documented the early Roman Empire are important for me personally. You've got Tacitus and Suetonius. Suetonius is more of like a gossip columnist or a scandal sheet chronicler. You know, he's got all the lurid tales of the Julio Claudian emperors, their tales of decadence.
Great.
You know,
I just revisited I Claudius last year too. That was fantastic.
Well, I'm sure that's based on Robert Graves probably read a lot of Suetonius and Tacitus.
Sure. Right.
Tacitus is more like, you know, respectable. He's like, he sees himself as continuing the history of Rome after what Livy wrote. You know, Livy's writing about Ab Urbe Condita, from the founding of the city in 753 BC. I can't believe I still remember that date, but that's the founding of the city. So you got the Republic, and then Tacitus picks up the narrative thread as Republic becomes empire.
Says
right?
Bye-bye.
With Julius Caesar himself kind of, as one historian described it, the hinge connecting the two, right? So Republic transitions to empire with Julius Caesar.
Augustus solidifies.
Is the first, the first.
He was the first citizen, though. Don't forget, he never called himself. Anyway,
primus inter pares, first among equals. So I think this is very important, or it's like very, very relevant to the current times. Pax Americana is basically the modern version of Pax Romana.
We are living in extra constitutional times. That's for
sure. The U.S. Congress is as worthless and ineffectual as the Roman Senate, right? You've got an imperial presidency, and just personally, I'm planning to write I'm planning to write a series of biographical portraits of U.S. presidents based on what Suetonius and Tacitus wrote. You know,
sounds great.
So,
are you looking at those as like mini profiles or extended profiles?
No, very short. Like,
it's almost like Nazi literature in the Americas. Those little small portraits, right?
Yeah,
just distilling it down.
Yeah,
we'll get to Bolaño later.
There's another great book on my shelf called Prejudential. Margaret Kimberly wrote little 2 or 3 page essays on all of the presidents up through Obama. She didn't. I mean, she published before the Trump.
So kind of like literary sketches.
Yeah, but it's prejudential. Get it right? You know, not presidential, but like, she writes for Black Agenda Report, so it's like all the, it's like every American president as racist, like the racist legacy of all the American presidents. So that was a fun read, and I'll probably include some of that material, but it's more like the anti-imperialist view, and Gore Vidal's heptology will also be an important influence. But Tacitus and Suetonius are there. I read them long ago, and maybe Suetonius is even more enjoyable.
That sounds like that would be more fun for me, frankly.
But
the foibles and the follies and the depravities of the contemporary scene. That sounds
but Tacitus has he's a great historian. He'd be the Thucydides if Livy is the Herodotus of Rome, then he would be the Thucydides, because he's kind of next in
Mark,
line.
what was the name of that book that you referenced just now with the portrayals of the presidents from like a
Prejudential, Prejudential. Margaret, Margaret Kimberly, right? Black Agenda Report. Sure. You've probably seen her on
maybe,
I don't know, Katie Halper or Garland Nixon, or she's on with Nick Cruz too occasionally. But yeah, she's a great writer, and these are really just it's a list of all the crimes, kind of, I don't know, somewhat like Howard Zinn's People's History of the United States, but much more condensed.
All right.
So then the other contender is Borges, who there was a time when I think under the influence of Ernesto Sabato, I kind of disparaged him. There's like a caricature of him in what is it, on Heroes and Tombs?
It's a fantastic
Borges, the literary puzzler or whatever, the manufacturer of
his little ficciones, right?
Yeah, the librarian, as he's sometimes called. But over the years, I've come to treasure he's a miniaturist, and I think I am in a way too. I like short pieces rather than.
Well, I'll jump in and just say that
big
Bolaño, one of my, central to me, right? When I read him, when he was and tore through his work, he took me back to Borges and reignited a reappreciation of Borges, right? In terms
me too, I think.
Pieces. So, Borges is fantastic, and he has my vote.
I'm gonna vote Borges as well.
Borges it is.
Do you want to say anything about Borges or either of the two? Or
I read Ficciones in college. It's a bit mathematical for my brain sometimes, but I appreciate
his
mind and creativity, and I would happily revisit his work as well. Particularly,
well, I'll just send you. What is that one? There's one that's Borges, but kind of it doesn't have that mathematical feel. Anyway, I'll find it. It's really short. I'll send it.
Do you remember my friend Antonio, the Mexican?
Yes, I do.
Latin American literature, professor.
Yeah. I
do. His criticism of Borges, demasiado erudito.
Yeah, that's true.
So that, and okay.
But why is that a criticism?
I just too erudite, like
but he doesn't have to be for everybody,
I understand, but that, and at one time I bought into that, is what I'm saying, but I've come to appreciate that more and more. He's kind of a literary occultist. He is somewhat like Pessoa, who I don't think made our list, but anyway.
Seriously, that's crazy.
I know. I think that was an oversight, but
the story I was thinking about just came to mind. The story's called The South, El Sur, right? Which has this surreal take. A guy basically has this breakdown and is hospitalized, then ends up on the Pampas, and it has this kind of weird dreamlike quality, and it doesn't feel overly mathematical, as you said, right? Or
send it.
I will. I'll find it. Yeah.
Nice
one.
I
mean, speaking of short ficciones, Borges was a very big influence on
Ernest Games.
Mark Will's Ernest Games. So, I in my old age, I guess I've become a literary puzzler too, because Ernest Games is definitely that. They're ficciones, they're little literary games,
Mm-hmm.
So
there you go. Borges moves on. Who's next? I think we have a heavyweight one here.
We've got Cormac McCarthy and Philip Roth.
Oh Christ!
Yeah,
I think both of those I threw in, and frankly, this is a tough one for me. Philip Roth he's one of those I've read almost everything that he's read, and I revisited the Zuckerman books, the early Zuckerman books last year, just to hear them, and but it's sort of a time and place, right? Like at the time, I needed him for whatever reason, and it was my late 20s to my early mid 30s, and at that point by the end of that I went through a divorce and I moved and everything, and it was something about Roth filled me, and I think he's a fantastic storyteller, and but McCarthy is Mark and I just read in the last couple of years, we read The Passenger and Stella Maris. What amazing works, and I still need to go back and read the Border trilogy, but what can you say about McCarthy other than, he is a beast, right? And Blood Meridian is something I will go back to for sure, right? I'm not going to vote yet.
He's also a groomer, as we know.
There's that. Yeah, he was involved with a 17-year-old. We learned later, but anyway, I'm not sure at this point. I'd love to hear both of your takes on either or both of those. Then I'm going to refrain from voting until we throw the dice.
Yeah,
this is a close one.
Very, very difficult for me as well. You, Mr. GJ, as with several authors on our list here, you introduced me to Roth. I remember we were talking on the phone. You said, "Listen to this."
Yeah, it's a section proselytizing phase.
It's a section called "Whacking Off," and so you
Portnoy's complaint.
You read this.
I love that book, by the way. That's the only book I've read. I loved it.
I said, "What is that? Woody Allen?"
Yeah,
and you're like, "No, it's this guy called Philip Roth," and so I think that's where it started.
We've been friends this is 30 years ago in our 20s, I think, right?
Yeah. Maybe you may have been living in Mexico at that time, or maybe you were already back in Houston.
I started reading him in Houston when I was teaching at Kincaid before I moved to Chicago. So that was 95 to 99.
We were both in Houston at that time, and you read that passage to me over the phone. I was like, "What is that? I've got to get that."
I don't remember doing that. I'm glad you're bringing this back. That's interesting, right? Because when I think of Roth, it's other books come to mind as his masterpieces. Yes, that's a brilliant comic masterpiece, but
for
Sabbath Theater, right?
For me, it's Sabbath Theater,
The Human Stain, American
The
Pastoral,
Human Stain.
For me, The Ghost Rider. There's just so many that mean so much to me.
The Dying Animal, that's a great shorter work.
Operation Shylock.
Less so, but yes.
Audacious, though. Anyway. All right. But McCarthy.
But, yeah. Then, do you remember how we started with McCarthy?
Didn't we start with one of his early books?
Well, I remember exactly how it started. The Houston Joyce Society, one year we said, okay, this year we're going to read contemporary literary masters. That was our grand project. And so we read Saramago's what's it called? All the Names.
All the Names, not his best.
We read V.S. Naipaul's not almost
River, something about a river.
No. We thought about that. It was a short story. Miguel Street.
All right.
Miguel Street. We read The Immigrants by
Sebald.
And
this was 30 years ago.
And we read McCarthy's Blood Meridian.
Was it Blood Meridian? Okay, it was Blood
Meridian.
Right.
Yes, of course it was.
Okay.
And I remember I was not at all excited about it. I was like, "What? This guy writes westerns or whatever? Like, what? Why are we reading this?"
And then you met the judge.
And then, well, yeah, and it's just like, oh my goodness, this is stunning. Like, and so then. From there, it was like I read everything I could. Suttree, then went back and read Outer Dark. We still haven't read The Border.
I know that's a gap in mine, trilogy, interestingly.
But,
right. No Country for Old Men, The Road. Suttree's amazing. Yeah. How about you?
Suttree is,
Pidley, what about you with either of these two guys?
Limited, somewhat limited. I think the only book I read by Roth is Portnoy's Complaint in my teenage years. Again, coming back to that theme of masturbation, which I brought up with regards to Sherman Alexia. One of those like liberating books in a sense.
Yeah.
That's important for a young man to read. Yeah.
The liver that was going to be used by his Jewish mother to prepare a kosher meal. Anyway.
Speaking of that, I'm in The Sympathizer, I just read a scene where he's describing like some type of seafood that he right?
Yeah, and that is direct homage to that scene in Portnoy's Complaint. Yes. Yeah. Nice. Which the author has acknowledged. It's obvious. It's great. Yeah.
And then I'm not a big McCarthy fan. Sorry. Again, not a diss on his aptitude. I've read Blood Meridian in college. And the road was definitely disappointing. I felt like it was like corny.
That's fair.
But Blood Meridian, I appreciated. Definitely, like you could sense that you're reading something like profound and with incredible depth. It's just the tone for me was a bit hardcore.
Yeah.
It was it was a bit dark. And
it's dark. It's fucking dark. Yeah.
So just an aesthetic, not an aesthetic preference, but
all right. I think I know who I'm voting for. I think it's finally settling in. But who wants to cast the first vote?
I think you might like Suttree, Pidley.
Okay, that's
maybe.
Which by who? I'd like to read more Roth for sure as well. Okay.
Oh well, then read The Dying Animal next.
I'm going to vote Roth just because I'm guessing, even if you said everything else is not at all similar to Portnoy's Complaint, but I still feel like the person who wrote Portnoy's Complaint, I might have
fair enough.
Better rapport with.
How about you, Mark?
I think I'm going to have to flip a coin. I mean, I really don't know which way to go here.
That's how I felt about Kafka and Wild.
I'm very conflicted here.
I'll cast the decider. All right, so neck and neck, but ultimately.
Okay, all right. So he picked Roth. I'll pick McCarthy. You decide.
All right. This is maybe just going with the sentimental tug, but I'm going to revisit definitely some of his other works again. I'll go Roth. Philip Roth edges him out.
Interesting.
You know Pidley better than I. Do you think he would like The Passenger?
The Passenger. I don't think so. I think he's much more, of course, if we're talking about like comedic writers, of course, there are comedic scenes in McCarthy, maybe especially in Suttree, but, he's more tragic than comic, right?
I know you mentioned The Dying Animals recommendation, but I'll pitch this for you, Pidley. I would recommend, because it's short and you can read it it's like under 200 pages, The Ghost Rider, right? the first of the Nathan Zuckerman books, and the take on, among other things. Well, you'll see. I would recommend the Ghost Rider, right?
It says parts of the novel are a reprise of the Diary of Anne Frank.
Yes. There's a riff on the old Anne Frank story. You'll see. It's just, but the voice from the beginning, it's just very inviting and page turning. It's a Bildungsroman, nice. Right? And it's
nice. I do like a Bildungsroman.
It's a nice little Bildungsroman. So anyway,
all right, Samuel Beckett versus. Go on. Sorry, Mark.
That was a fascinating matchup. Like,
yeah,
I'm very surprised that they faced each other so early, but okay, clarification.
Lady Fortune brought it our way, so
the Rota Fortuna.
All right, Beckett versus the COETZ.
Coetzee. South African.
And I know this because I worked with the South African dude here, and I asked him, I said, hey man, how do you pronounce your name? And he told me. I'm like,
I think you told me long ago it's Coetzee, because I was saying Coetzee, and you're like, no, it's Coetzee.
Yeah, because I worked with a guy here, South African dude, you know, a Boer, and I was like, how do you actually pronounce your name? And I said, there's a famous writer that has your name too. He had no idea.
Okay.
It's like,
I think I had a similar experience with a South African as well, where I asked them about this writer, and they.
Well, I think I put Coetzee in, so I'm happy to begin with that. I've read
go ahead,
half a dozen or more of his books,
and Beckett's mine.
Where to begin? Maybe Disgrace. For me, my I don't know.
Diary of a Bad Year.
Diary of a Bad Year is fantastic, right? Elizabeth Costello, it might be my personal favorite. But the Master of Petersburg, if you want to read Dostoevsky.
You would love that.
If you want to read Dostoevsky as the main character, read The Master of Petersburg. Nice. So it's basically about Dostoevsky when he comes back from Europe and he's dealing with the death, I think of his stepson. And it basically, he's back. It's a portrayal of the artist who is in this struggling period. And it's also about the genesis of his book, Demons, because some of the people he meets, right, become inspiration for the characters, some of the nihilistic characters he then brings to life in Demons.
You understand, Pidley lives in St. Petersburg.
So
he's there right now.
That's the one you should start with if you're going to read, right? The Master of Petersburg.
Absolutely.
And then tell us. I'd reread that too. That's probably my personal favorite, right? And I read that was it in grad school, like in like 1997, 98.
Like that. And you recommended it to me. Yeah. And there again, and I started with that. And do you remember our Coetzee story from Houston?
What was that? No, I don't think so.
Well, there was some authors. They had like a series of authors' lectures or events, Okay. And you said, "Yeah, man, Coetzee is coming." I think we had both read the Master of St. Petersburg at that time, or maybe not, but you had, and you're like, right. "Oh, Coetzee, he's gonna be talking at wherever it was." In Houston, let's go, man. Let's go. And we get
there.
Did
we?
We did go. We went there, and it's like tonight's speakers are, and it was like some poet and then some other nobody. Oh. And you're like, and you looked at me. I looked at you. You looked at me, and it's like, oh fuck, we got the date wrong.
Oh, so my God.
We didn't see Coetzee, but. The poet was actually pretty interesting. Who was
the poet? It was a New York poet, right? Contemporary.
Yeah, I can't remember his name,
American
but
poet.
Yeah, it's called "You Don't Know What Work Is." What work is? That was the name of the poem he read.
Okay. Let me look to see if I can find that. Okay, I remember that now. So I was pretty date somehow.
I was pretty pissed off.
Philip Levine.
That was it.
Yeah.
Philip Levine.
So we saw him instead of Coetzee. I was pretty pissed off at first, and
Whose fault was it?
I embarrassed
Probably
you.
mine, right?
I think so. I'm like, what the fuck, man? You didn't get the date right. but then, because the first lecture or read or whatever was terrible. I don't even remember who it was.
Okay.
But then Philip
and for
Levine
us at
came
that
on.
point, I remember for us to get out was challenging because we had a wife and like baby at home. So it wasn't easy for us to coordinate that, I think. And then I fucked it up. Okay. I probably blocked that out.
But
I do remember Philip Levine, but I wouldn't have remembered that was because we were originally scheduled to see Katsuya, and regrettably we didn't do it.
I remember there was they had like a flyer, and it was like the whole series and with author photos, but somehow we
was he a different date? Had it already happened, or was it going to happen?
I think it was like the week or the month before or whatever.
Oh my god!
I don't know where that would have been. Where would it have been?
Probably
like Rice University or something.
Maybe a university or something like that.
Yeah,
I don't remember. Anyway, all right.
So,
thank you. All the shit I forget over the years.
So, another important Katsuya work, of course, is Waiting for the Barbarians.
Yeah, that's fantastic. That's a grim
one. But my personal favorite is Diary of a Bad Year.
That's excellent.
And I've read like Michael K., The Diary of Michael K.
The Life and Times of Michael K.
That's okay. Yeah. I've read Boyhood. That's very good.
Elizabeth Costello. Have you read that?
No, but you always recommend it.
All right. So,
but then we've got we've got Beckett. So
you threw him in the ring, right? All right.
I did. But I'm gonna let Tomek
I probably would have
Beckett. Yeah.
No, so I mean you would do a better job, bro. I just would say that Waiting for Godot is just possibly like the best play I've ever seen live, like on repeated occasions, in terms of the type of play that I've left just rethinking life and my place in it, and so true goosebump play.
I haven't seen that live. I would love to, but I have seen Endgame years and years ago live, and that was extraordinary.
I've read Endgame.
I think I might like that play a little better, but I don't know. Amazing experience. I mean, absolutely unique. And I read Malloy, the first in his trilogy, and I still need to get to the last two pieces, which I know, Maguro, that you think are just they're in your canon.
Well, it started for me with when I was an undergrad in Houston. I saw a production of Waiting for Godot, and I thought it was amazing. I think that's before I even read him. I just went to the play and saw it because I had heard about it, of course.
It's and the best way to be exposed, I think.
It was incredible. And then I went to the library and got, I read the actual play, and then I read some of the short fiction. And then, at one point, the Irish National Theater had like TV productions of all the Beckett plays. I watched all of them on YouTube, and then I think I read most of them too. But for me, the trilogy of novels, the Unnameable,
Malloy and Malone Dies,
and the Unnameable, I Can't Go On, I'll Go On. To me, that's like his masterpiece, or that's my favorite work of his. But then there's also this collection of short fiction, Fizzles. I read that recently. I love all of that. He's not as important to me as Joyce, but he's up there,
All right.
He's part of the unholy trinity of Irish authors: Joyce, Beckett, and Flann O'Brien.
All right.
But how do we vote? I mean, this is very difficult. Pidley is going Beckett, I'm sure.
Yes.
Well, I'll go just to make it fun. I'll go Katsuya.
So yeah, I was afraid this would happen. So now I have to decide. Let's go Beckett. This is another coin flip, but let's go Beckett.
Oh, is it that close for you? Interestingly.
It is.
Okay.
Absolutely. Right. Diary of a Bad Year is one of my favorite books of all time. And Waiting for the Barbarians was just stunning.
I agree.
Katsuya is a very important writer.
And he has razor sharp economical prose, and you can there's echoes of Kafka there, right? All of his novels are typically just under 300 pages, some even shorter. So he, kind of like that. He's an economical writer, right? He doesn't have a 600-page book. He doesn't write those long tomes and so on.
He was very influenced by Robert Musil too, the Austrian author.
Man Without Qualities.
Man Without Qualities.
I have not read that. Have you read that?
Yeah, the first volume at least.
Did you like it?
I got it on the shelf here. It was all right, somewhat disappointing, interesting. Okay. And Boyhood's good. That's worth reading. I think Katsuya's influenced by Tolstoy's Boyhood narratives. But anyway, that's a really another tough matchup, but we'll give it to Beckett.
All right.
Last matchup of the day.
Our final matchup sounds like, we've got Rebecca Solnit versus Faulkner.
I'll go ahead and talk about Solnit. I don't know if either of you've read her, but she is way more than a feminist writer, as she sometimes is called. Right? So I'll just say, in terms of creative nonfiction, this woman is incredible. First of all, I'll mention Wanderlust. Right? It's basically a history of walking. Right? And so she looks at the peripatetic philosophers of ancient Greece, the poets of the Romantic age, the preambulations of the Surrealists, the mountaineers of the 20th century, and it's an extended meditation on walking and thinking and culture, arguing for the space, as it says here, in which a walk and having public space is ever more needed in automobile-dependent, accelerated world. But it's an incredible.
I think I may have come across her recently, by the way. In
amazing.
My research.
Here's another one: River of Shadow.
It's just called Walking?
No, it's called Wanderlust.
Oh, Wanderlust.
Check out the descriptions. I'll recommend two more, right? River of Shadows, right? This is a story of Edward Muybridge, who in the 19th century, right, was the first one to capture basically moving pictures in high-speed motion photography. And she uses his story and the story of the 19th century and industrialism to also talk about railroads, telegraphy, photography, all the things that accelerated sort of the modern world and so on. Absolutely fascinating. And last but not least, just to give you a flavor, right? The Far Away Nearby, right? Which is basically about the way in which the stories that we're told by our parents, the myths we read, the stories our culture tells us, right? The way that they infuse our understanding of the world, right? So, in short, all of her I'm going to read way more of her. Like her nonfiction, she is an original thinker, and it never feels though she's done amazing research. There's always a human voice behind it, right? And I say all this saying that I absolutely love her, but with Faulkner, I'm probably going to say I'm going to have to go with Faulkner, right? So this is just a recommendation for you guys. And if you're going to start with one of these, I would maybe start with Wanderlust. So there's my pitch for Rebecca Solnit, who I will continue to read. But
that Wanderlust sounds fantastic.
Oh, it's amazing. It's amazing.
I'll order that as soon as we log off here, perhaps. But Tomek, what is your experience? Or sorry, Pidley, what is your experience with either of these? Did you ever explain your name, by the way? I know what it is, but we'll save that for later.
Yeah, so
unless you want to talk about it.
It's a shout out feels a bit crass, but
homage.
It's an homage to the recently passed Renee Good.
Not passed, murdered.
Oh,
let's just say it.
Executed.
So how is that the case?
Well,
she. Yeah, go ahead. You tell the story.
We heard that she's a poet,
right.
And she actually won a pretty prestigious award
mm-hmm.
in 2020, I believe. And I read it this morning, and I was very impressed with the poem. Like, sometimes you feel like you might give like added value or like a heightened meaning just because she died, but I actually thought it was like a fantastic poem, and it made me feel even more depressed that this person who clearly was not inciting any type of violence towards her, and in fact her final words were, what, dude, I'm not mad at you.
Yeah, I knew that.
That was her final statement.
Oh, I see that you.
So I will share the
poem. No, I see that you sent. Yes, what have you sent it earlier today? Oh, I see. Yeah,
it's called "On Learning to Dissect Fetal Pigs," and it's a very good poem, kind of about her relationship to religion versus rationalism and how she deals with that tension in her life. And
how does
some of the language is fantastic.
How does Piddly Soul arise from this?
It's one of the phrases.
One line, she says, "Maybe there, in between my pancreas and large intestine, is the piddly brook of my soul."
Oh, okay.
So,
okay, nice. I'll check it out.
Nice line.
Yeah. All right.
So, as poets, we stand in solidarity. Right?
No, definitely. What's happening is, anyway, we could say.
But also, in terms of like we have different allegiances, right? People have allegiances to nation, to gender, whatever, race. Mm-hmm. And so we, as poets, I feel like we should give her extra props as belonging to our literary community,
our tribe.
So yeah, exactly. So
anybody who cares about language like that.
Absolutely. And she has a degree in creative writing and
right.
Yeah. So so haven't read Rebecca Solnit. Faulkner read in the same course that I read Cormac McCarthy, read Sound and the Fury, and I hate being the guy who's like, I mean, I don't like representing myself as how I'm representing myself, but Faulkner is not like my go-to, but
he's not for everybody. That's totally fair.
But I just don't like saying, I don't like reducing myself. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, he's not for, I don't like saying it's not for me, because he could be for me in another context or a different reading community. I like to think that I can read a range of work. So
for sure.
I would just say it's not necessarily like my preference, but
is that all you've read? The Sound and the Fury?
I believe so, yes.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Well, let me do the Faulkner then, and then you can jump in via.
Oh, I read Absalom as well.
Okay, and
that to me is his. I mean, he's got multiple masterpieces. That to me is my favorite, my personal favorite.
Okay. Well, I've probably read The Sound and the Fury 10 times in my life, possibly. It's part of my literary DNA. So obviously it's in my personal canon, but I also went through the Faulknerian completionist phase. I didn't quite finish everything, but I have read. Close. I mean, how many novels are there? The number 17 comes to mind, but I'm not sure that's right. Yeah. Sound and the Fury, As I Lay Dying, was a very important one early on for me. Of course, Absalom. I also love the Snopes trilogy, which I read more recently.
Light in August.
Light in August. Yes, that was earlier. What am I forgetting? I read the lesser works too. The Unvanquished, Intruder in the Dust, The Wild Palms. These are, Go Down Moses. These are not as important, I would say, as The Sound and the Fury, Light in August, Absalom, As I Lay Dying. Those four.
Yeah.
What am I forgetting? Maybe those are the most important. The Snopes trilogy is a late comedic masterpiece, I think.
I really like Sanctuary. I wouldn't put Sanctuary at the same level of those others, but I enjoyed it.
Sanctuary, yeah, of course. But I agree, less so. So yeah, I mean, I haven't read any Solnit, so I've got to go Faulkner.
I'll go Faulkner too.
Hidley.
Faulkner. Parents, meet the parents.
All right.
Yeah, well, Faulkner will go through, although I think I'd probably rather reach for a Solnit book, nonfiction text, based on your endorsement, Villa.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I would.
Yeah, and as I said, I think I did.
Wanderlust.
Why are you calling him Villa?
Villa, sorry.
That's fine. That's fine.
David Villa. Yeah, Villa.
Okay. Solnit also wrote that highly influential essay, also the title of a longer book of nonfiction, which I also read. Men Explain Things to Me, right? So the term mansplaining kind of comes from that. She didn't actually use that term, right? But it's a great essay, which begins in which this man is lecturing her about a book that she happens to be the author of, right? or she tells an anecdote about a woman, but it's really good.
I prefer woman-splaining.
So where are we in terms of this gargantuan
process? We didn't make as much progress as we had hoped. Basically, we got halfway as far as we wanted to in 2 hours.
We've covered 40 of the 64.
40 of the 64. So
that doesn't sound right. 40?
I believe so. We've covered 5 sections of 8.
Oh. Is that all? My goodness. Okay, well, I don't know when we'll revisit this, but so we've got. So wait, so there are 24 more.
Is that from that first? Is that from that first overall outside bracket?
We still got 12 more matchups
for the outside bracket.
Yes,
that's correct.
We did 12 matchups today.
Holy shit.
So we got to do 12 more before. I think the last bit will go much faster. But my goodness, this is,
Yeah.
Why is it taking so long? This didn't happen with the music,
We did carry over a couple times at least.
Well, 2 episodes, but not like this is going to be 4.
I think, you guys are very attached. I mean, this is a huge part of your identity, and these novelists mean so much to you and to me.
Yeah.
So it's understandable that you feel that they.
I mean, we're all lifelong readers, right? So this is in our blood for sure.
All right.
Anyway, I'm available. I don't think it has to be that long.
Okay.
I mean, I'm available for single evenings. I'm not like super available, but single evenings I can always make happen.
2 weeks might work. I know next weekend we have a visitor, but I'll look at my calendar and get back with some dates for sure.
Well, in the meantime, we'll put this out. This has been live streaming, so it'll be on the YouTube channel, but I'll release the cooked, edited version soon. And you can watch it raw now.
For all of us, weekends are best. Is that right?
I'd say so.
Don't really.
Maybe we can discuss this off camera.
Yes,
so let's just
Yeah.
wrap it up. This has been part 2 of season 4, episode 10, The Write-Off. We drew up a list of 64 of the so-called best writers, authors, and they've gone head to head. We've done 40 matchups apparently. So we have 20.
No, 20
winners.
matchups.
We've done
40 writers.
We've only done 20. Oh, okay. So yeah, right. So 40 of the 64 have gone head to head. So we've narrowed it down to 20 among those 40, and then there's still 24 more that need to go head to head. So we'll do that next time, and then we'll have 12. So then we'll have 20. We'll narrow it down to 32, and then down to 16, 8, 4, 2, and then Billy Shakes or someone.
Yeah, then we'll have a nice anticlimactic finish.
So just out of curiosity, can we maybe what are the ones upcoming that are the ones that are set for the next round that are they're gonna?
Well, we got to spin the wheel, I guess.
That's true.
Right?
Never mind. We haven't even finished this out of breath. Okay, never mind.
Maybe we should spin in advance to save time. Like I think the wheel spinning is a big waste of time, and we're not really listening to it. You know, we're not listening to the. So
it's my favorite part.
Okay, well, I guess you're insisting that we do it. So
allow me that pleasure.
Sure, you got it, man. You got it. This has been part 2 of Texting Season 4, Episode 10. The Write-Off will be back with part 3 sometime before Agenda 2030 is implemented. So, see you next